What is up, you heathens and demons? Welcome back to the Raging Atheist. I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and today we're going to get back into my interview with Matt Powell. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this interview so far, and we're going to get into another kind of controversial topic where I'm going to really be able to, I believe, prove how naive he is and how willing he is to believe fake news. And that is going to be about how Muhammad, the prophet of the Islam religion, is a pedophile. Now, I've done extensive research on this, and from my research, most legitimate historians would tell you that Muhammad wasn't really a pedophile. Yes, he did marry a young girl, and that young girl was 9 years old when they got married. But history shows that he didn't consummate the marriage more than likely until the girl was 18. She might have been as young as 16, but more than likely 18. Because before they actually consummated the marriage, she had ran off or been taken by one of Muhammad's soldiers, and at that point she was still a virgin. So history clearly shows this. Now, this rumor that Muhammad was a pedophile has been around, actually, history shows, since Muhammad was alive. This was a rumor started by the Quraysh, his political enemies of the time, to try to soil his reputation, because he had a stellar reputation. That's how he was able to bring so many people to his religion, is because people considered Muhammad to be very trustworthy. So they were trying to soil that. They were trying to soil that reputation early in Muhammad's prophethood, if you will. And they created this rumor, even though he was fairly honorable when it came to taking many wives. He didn't start that practice until after his first wife had died. He never took another wife while the love of his life was alive. It wasn't until after that, for political convenience, and because it was the tradition of Arabia, and I'm going to call it something else in this video. This is late into the interview. My mind isn't firing off like it should be, but I'm still right about this, and he's wrong. Alright, now in one of your newer videos, I noticed, and I had this, I was under this impression as well when I first started researching Muhammad, but you think that Muhammad was a pedophile. Yeah, now, I had the same, I did a series called The Caliphate on my first channel. When I first started The Raging Atheist, I included a couple of them. They were so far back in my video list it'd be hard to find. I've been thinking about re-recording them and re-releasing them. Sure. But as I researched Muhammad, I developed a respect for him. Yeah. I despise Islam. Now, you rightfully pointed out that I tend to attack Christianity, and it's mainly because I live in a Christian country. You know, if I lived in Saudi Arabia, I would probably be attacking Islam 99% of the time. Sure. But when I started my Caliphate series, I was under the impression, probably from my Christian background, that Muhammad was these things, and one of those things was that he was a pedophile. Sure. Yeah. But in researching that, Aisha, yeah. I always call her Aaliyah after the singer. But Aisha, by all historical accounts, was more than likely 16 to 18 when they consummated the marriage. Now, she was 9 when they were technically married, which it was a marriage of political convenience, and she herself truly loved Muhammad and spent the rest of her life fighting for Muhammad's cause. So, you know, when I went into that research thinking that he was a pedophile, I came out of it saying, all right, there is a possibility, you know, that she was married at the age of 9 to Muhammad, but that was the custom, that was the tradition of Asia, that part of the world. I'm not thinking straight. Whatever they called it back then, but it was Malaysia, you know. It was part of their custom to take many wives, and she was a political marriage that linked, I believe, his old family, the Aish, or I can't remember what they were called. Islamic names are horrible to try to pronounce.
Tell me about it.
So, you know, I would just encourage you to really look at the history of Muhammad. Of course, I think Muhammad was a fraud. I think he was a fraud. I think he made up stuff. He obviously stole his religion from the Jews. I mean, it's plain as day, and anybody that researches it can see that. And it's also very obvious where Islam went wrong. The caliphate after Muhammad's death warped what Muhammad really tried to do. And what Muhammad tried to do, to me, was a progressive solution for the times. Malaysia, whatever I'm trying to think of, wherever he came from, was very brutal. He saw systematic injustice for the poor, and he came up with a solution for that because he grew up poor and became very rich.
Yeah.
So do you really think that he was a pedophile, even though most, and jumping outside of Islamic scholars, most scholars tend to believe that he wasn't?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't say that it's good to appeal to authority, but I mean, if you want to, sometimes I do too, even though they say it's a logical fallacy. So just because the majority believes something doesn't make it true. The majority of the people back, before the time of Christ, thought that the earth was flat. The Bible says that the earth was a sphere.
I was gonna
Sure.
ask you about that.
Sure,
yeah.
no problem. But the majority of the people back then thought the earth was flat. So just because majority believes something doesn't make it true. Now, according to good, reliable historical sources, actually Aisha was espoused when she was 6, and they consummated the marriage when she was 9. And so, and they say, well, the human body was different back then. That's ridiculous.
See, but my research contradicts that directly.
We disagree.
Yeah.
It depends on your sources. It really depends on your sources.
I will say this, if you're going to marry a 9-year-old child, that in itself is pedophilia.
Yeah,
so in that regard, you're correct. But if he didn't have consummated the marriage until she was much older, 16 to 18 years old, to me that wouldn't be pedophilia, even though he was much older than she was.
Yeah.
To me, at 16 to 18 years old, you're old enough to make these decisions.
Sure. Right.
So so yeah, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
People can debate, whether you're 16 to 18 somewhere. That's fine. I think back in Bible times they probably married around that age, and it's very obvious that they did. They bore many children back in that time. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have a friend that he's like 24, and he found a young 17-year-old lady attractive. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Me as a 41-year-old atheist, I tend to get younger women attracted to me more so than women my age. Most women my age are Christian. They're right-leaning. I'm very left-leaning, and I'm an atheist. So I tend to attract younger women. But as a 41-year-old man, I couldn't personally marry or have sex with a 16-year-old girl. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
26, yes, but 16 to me. So I get what you're saying with that. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, it just doesn't depend on your sources. Facts are facts. History is history. Now, you can want to hate Muhammad because he is the prophet of a religion that your religion stands in opposition of. But you can't change facts. And the facts say he just wasn't a pedophile. He just wasn't. And hopefully Matt will be man enough to try to find the facts and not just dwell in his hatred. I still have 2 more Matt Powell videos to get out to you guys. We're going to spread it out throughout the rest of this month, make it part, intermingle with my crazy cult series that I'm doing on Three Hearts Church. So you guys still have a little bit more Matt Powell, and then after we're done with all of that, we're going to get back into hitting the cult bunnies really, really hard. Until next time, I am your boy Nakasuchi. This is The Raging Atheist. If you like my videos, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share me on your social media, comment in the comment section below. I'll see you soon.